Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into something pretty intense.
Yeah, we're looking at this one source, a really high conflict interview. It was, well, less talking, more like a public battleground.
Exactly. And you flagged this because underneath all the shouting, the interrupting, there seems to be a very deliberate strategy playing out,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. It's
Mhm.
full of contradictions. Our job really is to cut through that noise, the personal jabs, the loud talk, and find the actual business and legal points he's trying to make.
So that's the mission for you listening. We need to unpack how he defends being called broke, what's going on with this bankruptcy filing, especially with the huge tax debt mentioned.
And this family office thing. Plus, he dropped some major business news right in the middle of it all.
All while defending this boss identity. It's a fascinating look into how some high-level wealth might be managed, or at least presented. Okay, first off, the vibe of this interview, it is immediately confrontational. You can tell the way they're communicating. It's almost part of the strategy itself.
Totally. It's all about control. Dash, uh, he lays down this rule pretty clearly. You interrupt him, he just talks louder until he's finished his point.
Right, a dominance move.
Definitely. And then there's the constant stream of personal stuff, calling people dumb or feminine, gay, even chatty patty. It feels like he's using insults to keep everyone off balance.
So they end up defending themselves instead of digging into his business claims.
Pretty much. It shifts the focus constantly. And then there's this whole angle about research.
Yeah, this is interesting for you listening. He keeps hitting the interviewers for, like, believing stuff they read online or in the newspaper. Old news, basically.
He's basically saying, your info is weak.
Yeah.
He tells them, use ChatGPT, read Deadline, the trade papers, get on my level.
So it was a way to deflect.
Well, yes, partly deflection. But it's also him saying, look, I'm dealing with big deals, acquisitions, publishing. If you're not reading the industry stuff, how could you even question me?
Huh. So he flips it. Their confusion isn't because his situation is confusing. It's because their research isn't good enough.
Exactly. Shifts the burden of proof right back onto them.
Yeah.
It's effective, you have to admit.
Okay, so let's get into that central conflict. The idea that he's broke versus him insisting he's a boss, a strategist.
Right. So first, he just flat out denies those internet net worth numbers, the $30, $50 million figures.
Yeah.
Says, never had that much money, just dismisses it.
And the bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Chapter 7. He says it's because of what, $20 to $30 million in taxes?
Yeah. That's the figure reported he needs to deal with.
But Chapter 7, isn't that usually about liquidation? Wiping the slate clean personally? How does that fit with being a big-time investor, a boss?
Okay, so this is where the strategy, or at least his framing of the strategy, comes in. He presents Chapter 7 not as, like, giving up, but as a smart business move.
How so?
His argument is, look, I owe the IRS, say, $30 million. I can just get a regular job and pay that back. It's too much. So filing Chapter 7 apparently halts all the other lawsuits and debt claims against him personally. It clears the decks so he can focus entirely on generating the massive income needed through new ventures to eventually pay back that huge tax bill.
So it's like a legal shield freeing him up.
That's how he pitches it, a shield. And if Chapter 7 is the shield,
Then the family office is the fortress.
exactly, that's the next piece.
How does he explain that? This structure that he suddenly claims is worth, what, $10 billion?
Well, the concept he lays out is pretty standard for, ultra-wealthy folks. You set up a family office, it's like a legal entity, a firewall.
To keep assets out of your personal name.
Right, because personal assets can get hit with liens, lawsuits, public scrutiny, all that stuff. So he says he has no assets personally. Everything is in or flows through this family office. And that, he claims, holds the $10 billion.
$10 billion is a huge jump. How does he back that up? Does he offer any proof?
The main thing he points to in the interview is that the family office recently paid, I think it was $600,000 in taxes, which, is meant to signal this thing is real, it's active, it has cash flow, without him having to show personal bank statements.
Right, showing operational legitimacy.
And this leads right into his whole philosophy on debt. It's quite interesting. He argues that someone like him, with theoretically no personal debt because it's been dealt with by the bankruptcy,
Yeah.
is actually worth more in a way, or at least more powerful than some supposed billionaire who's carrying like a $180 million loan.
Okay, but hang on. Isn't having access to huge loans sometimes a sign of strength? Like, big banks trust you. Is he maybe twisting the definition of debt here?
Oh, he's definitely framing it to fit his narrative.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For him, the ultimate power is independence, freedom.
Right.
And he connects this back to his whole career, saying he always tried to use his own money for projects so nobody could tell him what to do.
So no lenders pulling string.
Exactly. So in his view, having no debt, even via bankruptcy, means he has control. And that's what being a boss means to him. Ultimate control over his direction.
Okay, so if the family office protects the assets and Chapter 7 shields him personally, how does he use that Chapter 7 filing offensively? You mentioned it's also a weapon.
Yeah, this is a key part of his explanation. He says the main reason he filed was to just stop the constant lawsuits. He mentions being sued for like over $500 million combined over 10 years,
Wow.
but then says he only actually lost about $800,000 total. He uses that to argue the suits were mostly meritless, just harassment.
Okay, makes sense as a defense, but the offensive part.
The kicker is his claim about what the bankruptcy filing does. He asserts that, based on the document, it stops them from suing him. Standard enough. But he also claims it explicitly allows him to continue suing them.
Seriously, it flips the whole power dynamic.
If his reading is correct, yeah. It turns bankruptcy from a defensive shield into an offensive sword. He can now supposedly pursue his claims without worrying about counterclaims related to those old debts. It's aggressive.
That's a massive claim, using the federal system like that.
And it also sheds light on the timing of the filing. He brings up the reasonable doubt asset.
The classic album, yeah.
He says that was the last major asset technically still in his name. And he deliberately delayed filing for bankruptcy because Chapter 7 would have forced that asset, that piece of hip-hop history, onto the auction block.
Ah, okay. Protecting the legacy asset.
Right. And adding insult to injury, he claims he was being taxed on $100,000 a year from reasonable doubt royalties that he says he never even received.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Okay. So that covers the legal strategy. Now, what about these content fights, the stuff with paid in full?
Yeah, that blew up in the interview, too. He directly accuses 50 Cent of capping, lying about getting the rights to make a paid-in-full documentary.
On what grounds?
Dash's claim is basically those rights don't exist to be bought. He argues that since he was actually there for the real events the movie is based on, he has a unique claim or insight that can't just be sold off.
Interesting stance on IP derived from real life.
Very. And he doesn't just leave it there. He immediately counters by announcing his own paid-in-full docuseries, says it's already finished, already trademarked, ready to go.
Wow.
And then adds another layer. Announces a new diss track aimed at 50 Cent and Cameron coming from Nicolette, an artist he manages.
So it's a full-on counteroffensive, legal claim, competing project, and a musical attack.
Pretty much sums it up. He's fighting on all fronts.
So these content wars seem like the perfect setup for him to announce his next moves. It felt like he used the interview chaos strategically to drop some big news.
Oh, absolutely. It's like, you think I'm broke? You think I'm finished? Watch this. He's making power moves or announcing them while simultaneously insulating himself with the bankruptcy and family office structure.
Okay, let's run through them. The biggest one seemed to be Revolt. What did he actually claim there?
He announced he's now the chairman of Revolt. But more than that, he specifically said he has a pathway to acquisition.
Meaning he intends to eventually buy the network, not just share it.
That's the clear implication. He stated his plan is to use the chairman role to, quote, monitor the content flow and figure out the strategy to acquire it down the line.
And did he back that up with anything concrete?
Well, almost in the same breath, he announced a 25-episode deal for his own podcast, Bosses Take Losses, to run on Revolt. So he's immediately integrating his own content onto the platform he plans to acquire.
Okay, interesting synergy there. What else? There was a book deal.
Yep, a book deal with Simon & Schuster for his book, Power. He made a point of saying the deal involves no debt for him.
And he called it a loss leader. What does that mean in this context? Is the book not meant to make money?
It means the immediate profit from book sales might not be the main goal. He could be using the prestige and visibility of a Simon & Schuster deal as a launchpad.
For what?
To generate interest in more lucrative deals like TV rights based on the book or other related ventures. The book becomes a high-profile piece of IP to leverage, with the real money potentially flowing back through that family office structure later.
Gotcha. Using the book as marketing for bigger things. Smart. Anything else major?
He also threw in that his music project, Black Guns Vinyl, is up for Grammy consideration, Best Alternative Album category.
Okay.
So you put all these announcements together, Revolt Chairman acquisition path, the podcast deal, the major publishing deal, the Grammy nod. It paints a picture of someone very active, very much still in the game, regardless of that Chapter 7 filing personally. It bolsters the boss image.
Then the interview takes this really sharp turn, doesn't it? When the OG figure comes in, the whole tone shifts.
Yeah, it becomes much less about the legal fights and business deals, and suddenly it's about, like, morals, legacy, what it means to be a man, to man up.
And this defense of family, of legacy,
Yeah.
it feels connected, right? Like it's the other kind of asset he's protecting with all this financial maneuvering.
I think that's a great way to put it. The OG figure really drives home this message of unity. Treat people right. Stop the infighting, the crab in a barrel thing he talks about, especially among young people.
He mentioned trying to bring people together.
Yeah, he described organizing this annual cookout where he brings together the sons of guys who might have had beef in the past, a real effort to build bridges, teach unity by example. Tough love, he called it.
And then there was that incredibly powerful story about defining wealth not in dollars, but in time and loyalty.
Oh, man. Yeah, the story about his wife, how he stayed by her side for 4 weeks straight while she was passing. And his point was just crystal clear. That time, that commitment, that's worth more than any $1 billion. You can't buy that.
It really puts the whole previous discussion about money and assets into a different perspective.
Completely. And then the other story about her wiping his hands after a fight when they were broken, illustrating that deep level of trust and partnership. That's the kind of wealth, the moral wealth, he seemed to be prioritizing.
And Dash connects this directly back to his own situation, right?
Yeah.
As justification for his choices.
Exactly. He jumps off that to argue that his definition of being rich isn't about having cash personally. It's about what he provides. He states all his kids had college paid for up front. His baby mothers all have multiple houses.
Secured how? Through the family office.
That's the implication. Using that structure to provide generational stability and security, shielded from his personal legal battles. That, he argues, is richness.
And he ties this into his own growth.
Yeah, he talks about his community work going into schools, this book initiative he did independently, even going into a juvenile detention center. He frames it as this unseen evolution that the media ignores because they just want the controversy.
So the OG section grounds the whole aggressive business strategy in a defense of family and legacy values. Hashtag tag outro.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway for you listening?
Well, it seems this deep dive really shows Dash presenting all these controversial things, the bankruptcy, the way he communicates not as signs of failure, but as deliberate, maybe even sophisticated moves.
Right. Moves designed to maintain total independence and protect wealth, maybe generational wealth, using that very insulated family office model. It's all about control and protection.
It really throws into relief the difference between, the success metrics we usually see, like net worth online, and these complex, maybe hidden financial setups that some ultra-high net worth people might use, especially if they're constantly facing lawsuits.
Exactly. Minimizing public exposure while maximizing operational freedom.
So the final thought we want to leave you with is this. In today's world, with information everywhere, constant scrutiny, what's actually more dangerous?
Is it being seen as financially weak, even if it's a strategic front?
Okay.
Or is it more dangerous to let people see the complex hidden machinery you use to actually hold on to wealth and power?
Which image, in the end, holds the real power? Something to think about.